Hey, Devin.
Hey, Stuart, how are you doing?
Your timing is impeccable. It's like bang on 4:30. You show up.
How about that?
That is very impressive. How are you this
It's
this morning? Because it's morning where you are, I'm guessing.
morning. Yeah. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad. I finished work at 7 o'clock this morning after an 11-hour shift, and I've slept for
Oh
about
boy.
5 hours, and then I'm up now because I've got to flip my body clock because I'm not back into work until Sunday night. So
Oh
it's
man, yeah. So
all good.
you're doing night shifts.
I am. Yeah, 4 nights in a row, 11 hours, and then I'm off for 4 days, and then it's back on again. So it,
Oh man, yeah. That's well, at least you have that. At least you have that gap to like reset yourself.
yeah, and that's the only reason that I do night shifts is because I like the 4 days off.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's actually really nice. What do you do?
I work for a large clothing retail thing, and I do the online customer service. So I'm the one that's dealing with all the angry customers, and
yeah. Okay.
so it was. I'd been fortunate enough to finish one of my shifts this week early. My boss, because it was kind of quiet, they went, "Does anybody want to
Right.
finish at midnight rather than 7 a.m.?" I went, "Well, I'd love to, because I've got
Right.
because I've got some films to watch." And
Yeah.
one of those was keeping company. So I'd finish my job dealing with customers and trying to, do the best for the company and all that sort of stuff. And then I put
Love
on
it.
keeping company, and I'm like, this is like I've just been at my previous job. So it was. I don't know if it was
Love
good
it.
for me. I mean, I watched the film. I think 1:30 in the morning. I started it, and I was
Oh wow.
laughing my head off at 2 o'clock in the morning. So I don't know if my next door neighbor, they probably think I'm a bit crazy now because, why is
Right.
this
They're like, what
laughter
the
coming
hell's he
through the
doing?
wall at 2 in the morning? So we have
Oh,
Josh.
that's so great.
Josh has joined us as well.
Hey,
Yes.
Stuart. Thank you so much for watching the film at 2 a.m. and waking the neighbors.
Well, there's two reasons I woke the neighbors, and I'll get onto the second one in a minute. But it is thank you guys so much for making the film. I get the easy bit. I just get to sit down for an hour and a half and go, entertain me, gentlemen, entertain me,
Right.
and you did. So you get the hard part by writing it, making it, and doing these conversations with people who you've never met before from all over the world. So
Yeah.
firstly,
But
thank
it's
you.
fun to it's fun. It's cool to, for us, it's like it's such an experience because we made this movie and we're like, is anyone gonna care or like this movie? So to talk to people about it that have no that come to it completely objective and hear their opinions is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I love the thing with Grimmfest is I love the selection. Whoever selects the films for Grimmfest is amazing because it is kind of a horror theme festival.
Right.
But they never, it's not a case of, oh, another one of these. Oh, that's like six
Right.
slasher films I've watched in a row. Give me something different. Every single film and I watch all of them in a short period of time. So like a 10-day period, I'm watching
Yeah.
maybe 15 films or whatever. They're all
Right.
different. And I love that. So a shout out to Grimmfest for picking lots of different films as well.
Yeah, they do such a great job. We're so honored to be with them.
Are you are you a horror buff, Stuart? Would you say?
I'm a movie buff.
Just movie buff in
pretty
general.
much. I think the only genres I'm not really into, and I don't have a hatred against them or anything, but musicals, can't quite gel with those. I don't understand how everybody knows all the words. It makes no sense. And animated films, I like some of them, but I'm not like, ooh, an animated film, I need to watch that. But pretty much I'll watch anything. But that does include horror films and realistic comedy films as well. I like slapstick stuff now and again, but I'm more into the kind of thing that like Keeping Company is, where it's very funny dialogue, but it's realistic dialogue that I can relate to, having done a similar job to these two insurance salesmen.
Right.
But the other reason that I woke the neighbors up, I don't think it's very good for me, probably about 2:30 in the morning, to look at the screen and go, Lloyd, when Rex Lee popped up on screen. Every time I see Rex in a role, I'm like, Lloyd! I turn into Harry Gold for about 10 seconds there, which...
Oh, that's the best.
Oh, amazing. So, I literally did shout at my, the monitor when Rex was on there. So it was an absolute pleasure to see him. But which one...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you carry on.
All I was gonna say is, it's great to have. It was great to have Rex because I think it's like it's been a while since Entourage was on the air, but it's like, oh, that has like such a serious fan base that it's cool. It'll be exciting to see how people react to it.
It's actually been about a month since Entourage was on my screens because I will periodically rewatch the entire run. I have them all on DVD, including the movie, and I will just go, do you know what? I think it's Entourage time. So for me, it's been a month since I've seen Rex on screen, but I know
So
what you mean.
great. Even so it's fresh. That's great.
So which one of you guys has done a role like this? Because you've nailed what it is effectively, other than the knocking on the wrong door part, which hopefully has never happened to either of you. But the mannerisms, the dialogue, you've nailed it. So which one of you did a job like that? I don't know. I'm sure one of you has
I think
done.
both of us have done
Yeah.
I mean, well, Josh, I've had small sales jobs, like summer jobs, where I did like sales jobs twice, and they were not anything like that. They were not. I was a terrible employee, but there wasn't a ton of pressure on me either when it came to sales. But I've done like all sorts of just like factory work and restaurant jobs is mostly what I did too.
Yeah.
So you kind of you still get the similar pressures, I think. And Josh, I know you've done.
Yeah, I've definitely worked some more corporate gigs, and then also done call centers before.
Same.
But yeah, that same kind of like scripted. You know how the person's going to react, and therefore you know how to like appropriately target and attack. Based off of what they're going to say. Like you have 3 different levels of like they say no here, then I'm going to pivot here and talk about this and get them back on track. And it's just like, it's crazy that structure is in place. And then also beyond us working these jobs, I think it's just something that we can outwardly observe from our society that like, oh, this doesn't like, this
it's all about productivity and not there's no it feels like so many companies it's just like if the numbers aren't there then you as an employee you're gone. It's like and the problem is there's someone else that'll take your job instantly. Like it's that pressure is I think built into our society.
Yep. It's all about the spreadsheets, isn't it? It's a shame that the world has gone that way where it's like let's look at numbers, not people.
Right.
And
exactly.
we could do this as a therapy session about those jobs. Like we'll end up crying at the end of the half hour. But I knew you'd had the experience of those sort of jobs because it was pitch perfect, the dialogue and stuff. So it was
so
a gem. There are a couple of phrases that were used in the script. I won't mention them because they're very funny moments. But one of them was you can cancel at any time. To respond to that will stay with me forever. It's a brilliant. It's probably a line I will use at some point when someone asks me that question as well. And then also what's that person's name? Well, it doesn't matter what the name is. That sort of style. To me, dialogue like that just cracks me up. I love the realistic dialogue that I'd mentioned. So
we that the last one you mentioned, Jillian Vigman playing Paula, the boss, and that she was actually or correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, but I think I remember that wasn't even scripted. It was something that she even pitched. She was like, "What if I just call everyone the same name?" And we were like, "Oh yeah, 100%. Of course, that's exactly what you would do because you don't care." And it was just so fun to play with that.
So you guys wrote this film together. I mean, the credits say you've written, but how did the writing work? Did you both get in a room together and then go away and then come back, or what was your whole process for writing Keeping Company?
That was pretty much it. We met I think when we started writing the scripts for like almost a year exactly before we shot. And we were I guess like the first 6 months of that was actually the script was something totally different. It was very studio comedy, like broad buddy comedy. And
about 2 guys who get kidnapped. So it was like somewhat similar premise wise, but it was like, it was a buddy comedy, 2 guys get kidnapped by a strange, lonely person who was the Lucas character. And I think we wrote 4 drafts of that. But you know what? Actually, speaking of jobs, it was like Josh and I wrote those first 4 drafts while working our day jobs. Josh, I think you were doing night shifts at that time,
right?
And I was working in a kitchen, and so a lot of that writing process was not sitting together in the same room. It was a lot of us writing, in our free time, writing drafts. I'd send it to Josh. Josh would do his revisions, send it back, and we would just ping pong.
I think once we started getting once the movie started becoming what it is now, I think that's when we were like meeting up like we were almost every day in person. And it was just because like the themes, like as we wrote this, you know, two guys getting kidnapped by another guy, like we started just like talking about themes of like aggression, how we see the world and stuff like that, and realized like, oh whoa, this is way more interesting than just a broad buddy comedy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what if the two buddies who, you know, got kidnapped were actually their own worst enemies or whatnot, like, and then that's kind of how it spiraled out.
Yeah, we really came to a big crossroads. I remember we actually met up and sat down on a day off that we had, and we literally were just like, all right, what's the movie we want to make here? Because for us, we also knew we started with the intention from the very beginning. We were like, let's figure out how to make this movie.
Yeah.
Let's not just write it and send it around, because Josh and I had been writing together for a few years at that point and sending scripts around, and you know, you just get lost in the shuffle. And so for us, we're like, all right, we're making this movie. This is our first feature. This is gonna be Josh's first feature as a director. Like, what is it that we want to make? What is it that we want to, you know, really do? What do we want to accomplish? What's going to be unique and original to us? And so we did a page one rewrite. And then from that point on, it was like 3 months straight of just meeting up every day and writing and really figuring it out.
And you mentioned, what did you want to accomplish? What did you want to accomplish?
Yeah, that's what we want. I mean, for us, we were like, well, do we need to be making another buddy comedy, studio-like buddy comedy that anyone could make? And we were like, no, we don't need to be doing that. We don't need to be writing that. It's not going to help us stand out in any way, you know? And for us, we were like, well, who are the people that we, you know, who are some of the filmmakers that we idolize the most? And with this particular subject and this particular tone that we're going for, we were like, well, we love the Coen brothers, and you know, we don't want to be a carbon copy or anything like that, but like, let's put our brains of like how we view the world. We really were just like, let's lean into theme. How do we view the world, and how can we play with it through these themes and through this this blend of genre? And you know, so for us, it was like we leaned into our comedy instincts, but then also we're like, let's show people we can also really put together a thriller, or really put together something that's very cinematic and not just a broad film.
I think you mentioned there, it was I think you used the word buddy a couple of times. I think Sonny would probably ask me to correct you and say it's more of a work colleague, really not. So I think you have made a work colleague horror comedy. So just not to sort of correct you, whatever. I mean, you guys wrote it,
but you're right.
It is a work colleague. It's not. People are going to think, my God, why is he saying that to these two talented people? Watch the film, you'll get it. It's fine. I'm not being mean, honest.
Right. No, you're exactly right. Yeah, I think we need to adjust our, exactly. It's a work colleague film.
It's definitely a work colleague.
Just
work film. But you've accomplished an amazing film. It's an absolute gem to watch. I mean, I've done a whole bunch of night shifts, and I'm watching it. I'll laugh my head off at 2 a.m. and shouting Lloyd at my monitor. It's definitely an experience that's gonna stay with me.
Oh man, that's awesome.
That's exactly what we wanted. We wanted people screaming Lloyd at the screen the whole time.
It worked. That's going to be a thing. They'll probably hashtag Lloyd. Rex will be like, why did my show finish years ago? Why are they digging that character up again? Come on, put him to sleep. So what was the sort of the gag reels? There must be gag reels, because it feels like a lot of the dialogue would have been improvised. I mean, it's slightly tweaked on set, because it feels 100% natural. Or was the script filmed?
It was honestly, it was pretty succinct, for the simple fact that we had to be, because of, just being an indie film. Like we have to make our day, and I think we had we tried to, as much as possible, let people be fluid with it, but it was all about we have 6-7 different setups every day to kind of get through, and that kind of made Devin and I be very let's trust in what we wrote. Let's make sure we get that, and that's the most important thing. We did have a couple of days where it was we really let it run and just really let the improv flow, And again, we tried to do that with most, at least give, 2 takes of like, all right, just let it run. But again, I think for the most part, we were pretty strict to the script.
Would that mostly be Devin going, do you know what, I wrote this, I can change it, I'm all right, I'm going for it, or what is it like when you're reading your own words back and performing them on screen?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. I mean, for me, I think again, we were so deep into the script and into all the characters, and we had so many discussions in our writing process about who every single person was and what the intentions were throughout, like every little moment. We were just like, what's the intention here. So for me, when we were filming, I mean, for me, it was just like, it's like you had put your 100 hours into practice almost, you know what I mean? Where it was like, I feel like I didn't have to like do too much prep because I had been prepping through the writing process. So it just kind of came out. It just felt like that character just already felt like he was a person and already came alive. So for me, it was just like, I just felt like, all right, I just got to, make sure I got to make sure I don't come off too unlikable at first. That was the biggest balance, was like making sure I don't come off as, because I'm an asshole, I'm the worst, I'm the worst person. I'm the worst person. But Josh and I really were like, even in the writing process and when we were filming, Josh was helping me as he was directing me, like making sure that like, hey, like, don't say this as snarky, or let's not give the audience too much of a reason to want to just write you off too soon, and that part of my character was having my dad as part of my story. That helped, I think, to help humanize a little bit. But that was the biggest challenge, is like making sure that I felt relatable, that Sonny felt relatable.
Yeah.
As despicable as he can be, but not completely the worst person until you can make your decision on him later on. But that was the balancing act, making sure the evolution felt natural.
I think Sonny did feel relatable, and you could see, I mean, there were aspects of certain things he said, and have insurance, I don't want insurance. You know what it's like when somebody says that to you, and you go, I don't want any. But because we'd seen behind the curtain the pressure from his dad, the pressure from his boss, the pressure to put the sake back in the glass, that made him relatable. It's a case of, okay, he's not an unlikable character, he's just really under pressure to succeed, and therefore we kind of like it. There isn't for a moment when you knock on the door and you're like, oh good, get him, go on, get right, this is going to be fun, put him in there, get him and sort him out. We were worried for the guys.
Yeah, and that's great to hear, because I think that was our, for us in our brains, that was our toughest challenge, both in writing and for me for performing, just making sure it's. But and I think that I think part of the reason, again, like part of the reason it felt natural, or I think came natural to not just me, but I think also a lot of our other performers, was, what we were going for was like, hey, we hope that everyone know, like, how annoying is it when people just are, whether it's a car salesman or whatever, that just are relentless. And it's like, we just know that. And also, I mean, we've seen it so much in film and TV too, those types of characters. But I think, we felt like it was pretty natural.
I mean, in a way, all of our characters, we wanted them all to feel a little despicable. Like every single one of them in some way is like off. Like even Noah, who's the most likable, is, a little too naive and a little too hopeful, where you're just like, okay, man, like, calm down. Like that was important to us, of just like, yeah, what is this world, everybody shouldn't really like anyone, and they should all have their faults. And again, that just goes back to like kind of subverting that, like, broad buddy comedy and turning it into the, coworker comedy that it is now. That was just all a part of that, and trying to rebel against what we, that studio version of what this movie would be.
Nice message of Glengarry in there throughout as well, by the way.
Yeah.
That made me smile every time. I'm like, because there's a lot of people I know who haven't seen that film, and I'm like, it's a perfect film for that to be mentioned in it. So it did make me smile a lot.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
So,
yeah. We tried to throw in as many Easter eggs as we could there.
yeah, I've just ruined one for people, but you know, people are going to go, "What's going to go?" Go seek it out. It's
Yeah.
worth watching.
Yeah.
So Josh, what was the schedule like for shooting? How long was this shot over?
So this was, I believe, 18 days of principal photography. And, you know, again, I think we were pretty, and Devin and I, you know, we've been out here in LA for over or close to a decade now. And so we've been building up our skills and whatnot this whole time in short form content. And, you know, this was obviously the biggest project that we've gotten to do thus far, and hopefully not the last. But I think we came in very, very prepared. And, you know, every day was, again, I think it's the thing. We really, really moved through it for as much as, you know, to take on an ensemble film for your first film, and to be, you know, at the, you know, doing it at an indie level is kind of a crazy thing to try. And hopefully we accomplished that somewhat. But, you know, that's, it was certainly, again, something that just we had to be on top of it. And luckily we had such an amazing, like, we got so lucky with our crew, and everyone that we hired and brought on were like just true professionals. Like we talk about this all the time. Our production designer, Eric Schoonover, he's the, you know, I think now the production designer fully, who was the art director on like Barry, which is that HBO show, in Baskets with Zach Galifianakis. Like, you know, he's doing like actual legit stuff, and, you know, he wanted to do our film, and that felt like, oh wow, this is, you know, like people see some weird value in this.
Yeah.
So it was, you know, again, we were surrounded by professionals, and I think Devin and I really approached it as, you know, again, it wasn't just like we're here, you know, goofing off. It's like, no, we're gonna go make a movie, and we're gonna do it to the best of our ability. Like I storyboarded the whole thing, the whole movie. You could literally look at each frame of our film in a storyboard form. There's like some weird 3D program that I use, and every shot, you could see literally every shot before we shot the film. So, you know, again, we really just wanted to go hard in trying to do our best, put our best foot forward.
That was super helpful. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say that was super. Josh put in so much work before shooting with the storyboard. I mean, like you said, it was like a 3D animatic, and it was like, I mean, for I know not just me, the other actors too, like being able to look at that and know what the blocking is gonna be, like, so just to see what the frame is, and so to know, so it just helped because there was a bit of choreography in every scene about like who's moving, you know, like the blocking was so important, and that it was so helpful. It was having that kind of prep was priceless.
And that was going to be my question. It's like, did you find it helped by storyboarding it all? And, you know, I may end up storyboarding my own stuff now, because I like the mythology behind it, and I like the fact it helped the actors as well. So it's good.
Yeah, I'll say Josh sold me on story. Like, if I, you know, I've always been a little unsure of how helpful I've worked, working on other things. I'm like, to me, I'm like, oh, if you have a shot list, you're good. But man, the way he storyboarded it, I'm like, yeah, no, you got to do that every time. It's like, it makes the filming process so much easier.
You're making your own stuff, Stuart?
Yeah, I'm in the process of, I was shooting 3 segments for a film, and the first 2 were shot before the pandemic hit. And the third, obviously, you know, in the UK, everything's still in lockdown, and, you know, nothing's happened, and I can't go film anything.
Right.
So I've had to rewrite the entire 3rd sequence, because my lead actress, she was 12 at the time, and she's been going through growth spurts. So no longer can I go, several weeks later, because it'll be like 2 years later by the time I do it. So that's fun in games. But I'm definitely going to look at the storyboarding idea, because that sounds like a win.
Yeah, that's such a unfortunate thing. Like, I mean, like the pandemic, just in terms of like indie filmmaking, it can be such a damper in terms of like, yeah, that specific situation. Like, and you feel like you're gonna pick it. You feel like once kind of thing lockdown stops, you're gonna pick right back up. or is it gonna
I think so. I mean, they sort of started to ease some of the lockdowns last October, and I'm like, great. It's all, oh, we're back again, because people in the UK, a lot of them just go, oh, I'm fine, I'm immune to viruses, I'm all right, and then numbers spike, and that's that sort of thing.
Same in the US.
Crazy, isn't it? So it's so I'm hoping that I will be able to pick up, but who knows when. I'm not doing any dates or nothing. Forget it. Once they announce lockdowns end, then I'll look to get back into filming. But I think for now I'll probably look at storyboarding. That'll keep me sane whilst I'm at home.
We're gonna have you feel when your movie comes out.
I will.
Yeah, please.
I've got a poster for it, everything. I've got one up there. Yeah, I had a poster designed, which is that's my own photography. There we go, that one.
Oh, no way.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's the poster that I got done.
That's great. I was gonna say, I love your wall of posters.
Yes, it's there we go. A little bit of a.
That's amazing.
So there we go. Put the camera back. But I have my little backdrop. The rest of the room's like a tip. But I'll try and make the wall look semi-professional. I have to keep moving the monitor because I had the thing that way, and it was all showing all the furniture. So I might need to be somewhat professional as I can be. So what's it like? I mean, you guys sort of put the film together. The film is it's done. People are watching it. People are loving it. What's the sort of distribution process? Is there one in place for people who maybe not be able to watch it at Grimmfest, which they'll be obviously watching?
Yeah. For I mean, we're in the middle of it. We're just past the beginning stage, I'd say. We've had a few conversations with some sales agents, and for us right now, we're trying to find a sales agent. Obviously, if we can get through to some distributors directly, great. But we're just kind of in the midst of it, just trying to find a company that fits for us, and that wants to work with us and whatnot, and hopefully we can get the movie out there sooner rather than later. But yeah, we're just trying to figure it out. We're hitting up people in our networks, and we're just trying to open every door we can and talk to whoever we can and get this movie in front of as many people as possible. So
I will send you a couple of recommendations after we've had this conversation, who may be a perfect fit, certainly for in the UK anyway. But
sure.
There's some that I know of.
Oh, that'd be great.
But, this is the part of the process that they don't really like even going to film school, there's not enough information about this part where it's like, okay, well, you finished your movie, and then now what?
Mm-hmm.
And so kind of getting through this, I think for anybody who's going through this process or ever will, it is kind of just like it's a crapshoot of doors are going to open, doors are going to close, but you just got to kind of keep pushing forward. The nice thing is that as we keep and hopefully keep on getting into these festivals, is that people see the film, and we it's makes us so elated when we hear that you're up at 1 a.m. watching this.
Yep.
And enjoying it, because again, Devin and I for a very long time were like, who is this for? Who are we making this movie for?
Me.
And it's like, Stuart.
Me and you two and lots of others, but me. That's me and Rex, to get Rex on. Have people across the world shouting Lloyd at their screen at silly o'clock. But
that's the best.
So how would you? I mean, I always avoid spoilers when I'm talking about films, because for me, I'd seen the poster for Keeping Company. I'd seen the very basic pitch where they described the insurance salesman as brash. I didn't think they were brash. They really cared about their job, and they wanted to put food on their plate. So I don't think they're brash at all. I think they're just very very dedicated to their work.
Right.
So how would you pitch the film? Devin, go for you first. To those who have not yet seen it.
That's great. How would I pitch the film? God, I pitched it for so long and now I'm blanking. I guess I'd pitch it as a biting social satire that explores the themes of and importances of wealth and class in our society through the lens of insurance salesmen who cross paths with cannibals.
Now we kind of slipped up there because Josh should have storyboarded your pitch and then done it, but we'll let that slide.
Yeah. That's the problem is I didn't pay attention to the storyboards that time.
That's what it is. Because early morning where you are, that's what it is. It's you've not woke up yet. So what was the most fun scene to shoot if without going into spoilers? Was the one that springs out one wonderful memory other than making the whole film, which will I'm sure be a highlight, but what one springs to mind?
I think there were a couple for me. I think one of the funnest days was when we shot, and this isn't the spoiler, that opening scene with Devin and Ahmed pitching, getting that first sale with the newlywed couple, and when they're selling insurance right off the bat. That's where we had we were able to kind of sit down and just let everyone play, and that's where like the gag reel is super fun. That whole day was it was hilarious, and also just to again, that's the scenario that we all recognize too, where it's like, here's this person coming over, going to try and sell me something, going to sit down and talk to me about this thing, or whatever multi-level marketing pitch that any person in your circle might have. So I think that day stood out a lot. And then the other one, and then just like the other bigger favorite, which is maybe one of the more calmer scenes, is when Lucas and Noah are under the blanket, and you're actually getting more of the just emotion of two of the again more normal characters in the film, which is weird because one's the actual bad guy and then the other one is again another one of these insurance salesmen, but just having a heart to heart under this blanket, that was I don't know, I think the energy was just different that day on set. So,
and Devin, what's yours?
Yeah, I think for me, man, the most exciting scenes. For me, I think I really enjoyed the day that we were shooting. I don't. Maybe I shouldn't say it because it's too much of a spoiler.
Okay.
Boy, it's a very fun, intense scene in the third act when a lot of things start to go downhill. But I won't.
Okay.
I shouldn't say what it is. Let me think of a better one without giving a spoiler.
I think I can work it out, and I think when people watch the film and if they come back and listen to this conversation, I'm thinking they will also work it out as well.
Yeah,
I think. But yeah, it is kind of a spoiler, isn't it?
It is kind of a spoiler, only because I don't want it. Well, you know what I will say. Actually, here's another great scene, and actually it was all in one day. But when Mr. Reddy, Sonny's father, is being watched by Frank and Danica, who are the insurance, who also work for the insurance company, and they're doing their stakeout, and then they, have their confrontation with him. That was a really fun day, and that was and to me, it's like it's because it's a part of our third act sequence, and it's so. It feels very intense and like a fun thrill ride to me. That was always a memorable scene.
And to work with actual those caliber of actors, all three of those.
They all came to play, and it was so fun to watch them.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
It was so fun to watch them. I'd agree with that phrase. Fun thrill ride. I agree with that one. These are all poster quotes that need to go on your Blu-ray or whatever. I'll write them, put my name on them. It's fine. I don't mind.
Sure.
But I'm looking forward to following the journey of Keeping Company, and I'm also looking forward to you guys doing more films together as well. That, without a shadow of a doubt, has to happen because you've done an amazing job with Keeping Company.
Yeah, thank you.
Really good. But
really appreciate the support.
I really appreciate you going out making a film. So it works both ways.
Definitely.
We're keeping each other sane through the pandemic. So
exactly.
That's very good. But I'm going to let you guys go and enjoy the rest of your day. I will send you the link to this video when it's up. It'll probably be up within the next 24 hours. Keeping Company screens in Grimmfest on April the 5th. So there's still plenty of time for people to, but I would highly recommend that you select that film if you're watching some of the Grimmfest movies. thumbs up,
Thank you.
definitely.
Thank you so much, Stuart.
And thanks for taking the time out to have this conversation as well. It's made my day. I am no longer tired after finishing work at 7 o'clock this morning. I'm up, I'm awake. I'm not wearing a red jacket. I don't have a red jacket. So shout out to the red jackets in your film as well. And to all the cast and crew as well. I could easily have just gone through the whole list of everybody, but everybody was amazing. So thank you so much to all of them as well.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks.
You're welcome. So you take care and thanks for the chat, guys.
Great. Yeah.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.